Alright, welcome to another top 8 commentary video. I have already bowed out of the tournament, aka I lost a bunch, and now we're just waiting for the top 8 to begin. Just a moment. I haven't decided what match we're going to see, so let's look at the top 8 in general first. In no particular order, the top 8 is... see, we got one red-white cycling deck. I'm just looking at this right now. A mono blue tempo deck, the Briar Moss Sultai Brew, a Demir mid range deck. Kind of going down the matchups here. Mono white heroic, another cycling deck. So two red white cycling decks in the top 8. Zombies and okay, we're watching this match. So we're gonna watch Zombies against what can only be called Chandra Nalar Tribal. Yes, that's it. Chandra Nalar Tribal. So zombies, as we already know, Lake of the Dead, swamps, undead creatures, good times. Your opponent will be dead very quickly. Lots of lords, Cemetery Reaper, Death Baron, Lord of the Undead, and Liliana's Mastery, all kind of combined together with cards like Dark Salvation. Kind of one of the better removal spells in the format, if you can support it. On the other side, there's mono red Chandras. Chandra tribals, you want to call it. We pretty much have a ton of different Chandra Chandra Planeswalkers. Chandra Fire Irison, Chandra Pyromaster, and Chandra Nalar, Big Sis Chandra. All powered with Chandra Regulators and an legendary artifact that says whenever you activate the loyalty ability with Chandra Planeswalker, you play one colorless. If you do, you copy the ability, choose new targets, and you can also loots with the discard of a mountain or a red card to draw a new card. So yeah, we watched this deck earlier on the stream, on my stream, twitch.tv/j_mecha. There's a link below in the description. And we kind of saw the deck slot a couple of madness spells. There's some interesting choices in this list. The numbers are very interesting, but you know, that's what Paint Drum was all about. It's about the brew. So we're gonna run right into the matchup. It's like they were waiting for me. We're gonna dive right into this match. The Chandra deck's gonna be on the play. This is gonna be an interesting matchup. It's gonna depend on how many wrath effects the red deck is playing, which is quite a bit. I'm actually gonna play some music too. Chill out with some music. Quiet. See. Alright. The turn 1 zombie is going to get fire bolted here. That's going to be the name of the game here for the red deck. Just kill everything in sight. Burn it all. Burn it all down. Undead Augur is pretty good at replacing said creatures that are about to burn. I think as Penny Dreadful has progressed throughout the years, I do say years, it's really funny to say that, but we're already in the year 4. Yes. The 2 drops of zombies have been really bad. I remember when we were playing cards like what is the 2/2? The 2/1 Intimidate guy. Oh, I cannot remember the guy's name. I'm gonna pull it up in a second. Thank you to Scryfall for these quick searches. Let's see if chat gets it for me. Highborn Ghoul. You're all wrong. Y'all didn't get it. People were playing Highborn Ghoul in the 2 slot, which was honestly not a great card. But now we got Undead Augur and Lazarus Reavers, really good 2 drops. Also Graveyard Marshal, which most people have moved on from. That's probably fine. You're kind of using your mana a lot of different ways, so you don't really get the benefit out of it. I still do like Graveyard Marshal though. It's actually a pretty good card. Alright, Lord of the Undead is played after a double duress. So a bunch of the Chandras will get taken away. Chandra Regulator and the Artisan. Leaving Nalar, double Nalar, and some mountains. Ooh, a Seething Song is gonna ramp up ramp up the Nalar. And Chandra Nalar is actually pretty great. It is like a repeatable sort of FTK, if you want to look at it like that. It's just gonna eat up the next like 3 creatures that come on the battlefield for the zombie player. Dark Salvation for 2. Not bad. You definitely want to go wider now. None of the Chandra is in play. You don't want to just like pick. You don't want to have your creatures picked off one at a time. There is a Firebolt in the graveyard, so if another land comes for the red player, they'll be able to shoot another creature. Alright, Ended Augur. Ups down. It's gonna be pretty great. It's gonna like force a removal from the Chandra. The zombie has to attack the Chandra here. There's like no other choice. You just have to do it. If this stays on the battlefield any longer, it's gonna be really bad. I guess Chandra's gonna take out the Augur here. But the zombie player is gonna get a card for the trouble. Now, Chandra's Phoenix, the only creature in this deck, Chandra's Phoenix, probably is gonna stay back to protect the mother here. In a Nameless Inversion, finally some of the removal spells kind of come into play for zombies, so the Chandra is going to die, unfortunately. Cemetery Reaper. One of the many lords in play. If this thing doesn't die, it's gonna start making other creatures. So the mono red's gonna need another land for a Firebolt. Wow, that's I don't know about that. That's kind of risky. They didn't go for the Chandra, they went for the Dome instead. So the Chandra's gonna tick up, and I guess like it doesn't really matter. I guess either way, because now this is the problem: is that the Phoenix was in the graveyard, so now thanks to the Chandra activation, they're gonna get a Phoenix back, and that's the reason why you want to hit that Chandra. It's a bit risky to leave it on the battlefield. They probably thought they could just like hit in once. The Chandra doesn't really do anything. They come back, but I guess they forgot, like me, about the Phoenix ability. Right. But now the Chandra cannot be ignored. Now they have Lord of the Dead in the field. So alright, another Chandra Nalar hits the battlefield. It's gonna take out the Lord of the Undead. This is actually a pretty decent spot for the red deck. They're pretty high life total. They really dealt with a lot of creatures pretty well, just on a 1-for-1 basis. And they have a repeatable effect in the Planeswalker. So you have to attack the Chandra again this time. Because you can't leave it at 4. But then it'll just eat the Death Baron. So putting it to 1 is fine. The red player can only tick up. Unless they have some sort of proliferative effect, which I don't. Ooh, Sweltering Sun's a big draw from the red deck. It's gonna clear out the board here. Chandra's gonna tick up. And you can play this Phoenix too and actually get in a swing here. Alright, the other nameless version is gonna come out. Not a lot of targets for nameless versions, but Chandra's Phoenix is one of them. But they found another. Actually, this is the same Phoenix. So Chandra's Nalar plus Chandra's Phoenix is like really just a great combo. Lydia's Mastery. Gonna make a couple of 3/3s here, but it might be a little too late, honestly. I think the Phoenix is just gonna be enough to like kind of eke through the rest of the damage. This Regulator can actually kill both creatures here, if the Monarch player wanted to. This is actually really interesting. It's gonna be an interesting scenario what they think about this. So definitely it copies the effect, and then they can choose new target. So they can definitely just sacrifice this Chandra in order to kill 2 things. Looks like they're gonna do that. Okay, so they have to choose a new target. Alright, so yeah, that's actually, I think that's definitely worth it. Chandra gets in for 2, and then they can like loot if they want to with the regulator. That's it. Zombie's gonna tap out for this game 1. The Chandra tribal deck up a game. You'll love to see it. Alright, so at the board, we'll start with the Chandra deck. Honestly, I think they feel pretty pre-boarded against sort of like most aggro decks. They have just tons of removal. You can bring a bit more removal here in a Reality Hemorrhage, which is actually a devoid spell that kind of is a shock, basically. On the other side, the mono black deck can take out a lot of that removal spells. I mean, Nameless Version wasn't really great. Dark Salvation is always fine. It never really is dead. But you could bring cards like Lost Legacy, maybe Underworld Dreams. That's sort of like an anti-control element. Things like that. Lost Legacy is pretty good at stripping some of the Planeswalkers. So, turn 1 Diagraph Ghoul for zombies. The strength of the zombie aggro deck, probably one of the best aggro decks in the format. If not the best aggro deck, at least the best performing, in my opinion. Is that they have a lot of like 1 mana 2 power creatures. And their cards are just all good on curve. You could definitely have like a wicked curve of like 1 drop, 2 drop, you know, Lord, and all of a sudden you're swinging for a bunch. Absent Judgment can take out the Undead Augur before it gets out of hand. Can't really play a lot of like board wipes against an Augur, otherwise you get a bunch of cards. Okay, we see Duress from Mono Black. We're gonna see their hand. They take out the Sweltering Suns. Shows double Absent Judgment, Chandra's Phoenix, 2 mountains. That's gonna be a bit scary if the Mono player is ever able to discard the Judgment, then they'll be able to wipe the board. But the Phoenix comes and can actually just hang out the block. There's not many exile effects as removal spells from the zombie player. They could play like Soul Guide Lanterns to kind of deal with Phoenixes, but that's probably like too corner case. Although it does also hit like Fire Bolts, their graveyard. I would block. I would definitely just like trade here. It does kind of suck to give your opponent a card, but the Phoenixes will just kind of continually prove their worth. They can just double Judgment here if you wanted to. Except they have Burst Lightning, so Burst Lightning takes out the Augur. And I'd probably just Judgment the Carnophage. Okay, it looks like they're gonna just like hold that for a Lord. This is kind of risky, honestly. There's one unknown in the hand, but Jay suddenly has double Judgments here. Lake of the Dead's gonna come down. And this is the risky part. If something like a Mastery comes into play, it's gonna get out of the range of the Judgment, and Judgment is a sorcery, so yeah, this is kind of a punish here. This is definitely a big time punish, unless they have a burn spell for the Carnophage. Alright, they found a Fiery Temper. But still, this is kind of rough. Oh, Mind Sparker. Out the board for Jace here. It is a 3/2 first striker. The other text doesn't matter. It doesn't really, all we care about is 3/2 and the stats. This is not a bad sideboard card. You have to imagine that the zombie player is going to take out the removal. So having something like a Mind Sparker seems pretty nice. Ooh, they kept it. I mean, the Dark Salvation is never, like I said, it's never a bad card. Once you have a bunch of zombies in play, it's basically like it's a 1 mana removal spell for anything. So this is kind of rough. Looks like game for the zombie player. We're gonna go to game 3. Yeah, a couple, like just a single Duress kind of disrupted anything. Also, I think Zombie being in the play was really strong. But Mono Red's gonna be in the play for game 3 here. The Chandra Tribal deck against Mono Black Zombies. But the key play of that game was Duress on Sweltering Suns. That was a very strong play. Torn Card Advantage gets Burst Lightning. It looks... Did Mono Red miss a land drop here? They're on the play. Oh no, that is not good. I'm not sure what any one-laner you could have here that would be really great. But they find a turn 2 regulator. I don't know, that's really risky. I learned earlier on my stream that one-laners were not good. I think, maybe they mulliganed. Maybe they have mulliganed a bit. I wasn't paying attention to their mulligan decisions. Alright, so here's the aforementioned curved out from before. 1 drop into 2 drop into Cemetery Reaper. The Reaper is really good as a 2. It actually makes like 4 power when you have a Lord in play. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. Yeah, looks like they each mulliganed, but I don't know if there's a reason to keep a one-lander. They might have it as pile of removal spells. This might be okay. Speaking of removal spells, one removal spell actually kind of missing from this deck is Pyroclasm. They only have Sweltering Suns as a wipe, board wipe, and they only have 3 in their deck, which is really interesting. They've got a lot of different like options for removal. I guess they do also play like Incendiary Command, but it's a bit expensive at this rate. Also like Avacyn's Judgment, it's also a really good card in the discard. Great. The Reaver's last one standing here. Joined by another Reaver. The zombie army is growing. If anything, I think if like Mono Red probably kept his hand on the strength of like some sort of like board wipe, so maybe a maybe like a Sweltering Suns in their hand. Okay, they're gonna madness out a Fiery Temper. They're gonna target one of the Reavers. I actually would have taken out the zombie army token. It seemed kind of weird, but I think like putting like this is very corner case. But if they play another Reaver, then their zombie army gets a 2/2, and they actually get in for a little more damage. Also, putting a creature in their graveyard is not super great for things like Lord of the Undead or Cemetery Reaper. That's a very corner case. But I think the zombie army token thing is like a little more of a case, so they played another Reaver. Alright, I think we're gonna see a Sweltering Suns. Alright, Seething Song, maybe not. Seething Song's just in the deck. They gotta ramp up a bit. Alright, they're going for a Chain Lightning on the Augur to start. I wouldn't like it if they had Chain Lightning plus Sweltering Suns here. I think it's a really strong play. Even if your opponent gets a bunch of cards. See, I don't know. I'm not really sure about that. Maybe it's okay? I don't know. I guess this way they like limit the amount of cards they draw, which is fine. I guess if they drew 4 cards, they'd be really behind. So, maybe this is fine. Mastery is such a good top deck here. Yeah, it's like a 2 for 4 though. I'm not sure how much I feel about it. Even like 2 to 3.5. Because they had a Reaver token, so... I don't know. Very interesting call. But yeah, at this point, now that the Mastery's on the field, Mono Red can't really deal with enchantments at all. So you're really just looking for Sweltering Suns or bust. I think it's really unfortunate the deck only plays 3. Maybe it's just like the numbers in this Mono Red list are very interesting. Like 4 Burst Light, in terms of just removal, 4 Burst Lightning, 3 Fiery Temper, 3 Avacyn's Judgment, 2 Chain Lightning, 2 Firebolt, 3 Sweltering Suns, 2 Incendiary Command, and then a pile of Planeswalkers. So the choices are very, like... They seemed like... What's the word I want to use? They seem deliberate, but also random. But yeah, the Little House Master I think is like the kind of key of this matchup. Kind of, I assumed it was just off the top of the zombie deck, and Zombie's gonna win at 2-1 over Mono Red Chandra's, so Zombie's gonna go into semifinals. We're gonna find another match in progress. Alright, we're gonna skip over to, I guess, Briar Moss. Yeah, let's go over to the Briar Moss match. Actually, you know what? Go to the other match. Maybe Briar Moss makes it to the next round. We'll save all the chocolate. We'll go to this match. So it's going to be Mono Blue Tempo against Red White Cycling. Already in progress. Mono Blue's up a game here. No red mana here, it looks like, for the Cycling deck. Also, tournament update. Starkman has defeated Yellow Van Blake. I believe Starkman was playing Red White Cycling. Over Blake, I believe they were playing. They're playing Heroic. Okay, the Mono White Heroic. So one second deck already onto the semis. Let's see if Mono Blue here can play Spoiler for the Cycling deck. Pull up their list real quick. So the Cycling deck here hasn't really lost a match yet. Probably one of the strongest decks in this format as we speak. Really didn't lose much from the last season. And really just gained a lot of new players to prey upon. A lot of people just aren't used to the play styles or the play patterns of it. I mean, it's not really much to say. You cycle a bunch of cards, you hope this Flourishing Fox just gets there sometimes. Ooh, Stern Dismissal from the Flourishing Fox. It's gonna save the day for a second. You really needed like another Tempest Djinn here to kind of clean up this game. One card left from the Mono Blue deck. They decided to cycle the Flourishing Fox. I actually probably agree with that. They found the red source, so maybe like their hands really opened up here. So any card like Zenith's Flare or just a random creature, a red creature, would be pretty good. As it stands though, this is a lethal attack on the board. Very Miscreant to draw here. They can't really attack with the Djinn. Ooh, Spark Spray to the dome. Plays around a bevy of counter magic here that the only card they could have is like a negate. Alright, Lofty Denial. They have 4 mana, they could definitely pay 4. Alright. Second, we're gonna take the second game, or the third game here. Start with the Mono Blue Tempo deck. The list is a bit different from the normal lists I've kind of like looked at. They play a couple of Terramanders, a couple of Hypnotic Sprites, also playing Bone Splitter. Nice little equipment, really cheap equipment for pumping up the little fairy tokens or fairy creatures, whatnot. Only 3 Curiosity, only really good with Vandal. I guess I kind of agree with that, I'm not really sure. I like their sideboard a lot. They have Glazotep Plating against, against Zenith Flare. The Gates as well would be pretty good. Soul Guide Lantern can nuke the graveyards. Stern Dismissal, good against both Lightning Rift and big creatures like Flourishing Fox. On the other side, though, look at the Red-White Cycling deck. Very atypical cycling deck. Pretty much almost every spell has cycling or is a basic land. Off the board, I'm not really sure what they bring in. Shredded Sails seems pretty good. I think it kills flyers, right? It deals 4 damage to a flyer, so Shredded Sails seems like a really good addition here. Light of Hope, maybe? I doubt Light of Hope would be really good. But I like Shredded Sails a lot. It's a very versatile sideboard card. In fact, it should probably be main deck, honestly, but who am I? Who am I to... I'm not the cycling expert. Terminal Miscreant. I'm not like super fond of this card, honestly. I don't think it's like that great. It's good in multiples, clearly. Miscreant draws a card if you see another Miscreant in play. But I guess as flying men go, like it's okay. Light of Hope is Curiosity and favorable wins. That's reasonable. Although I will tell you that this Mono Blue deck does not play favorable wins. It does play Curiosity, but no wins. End of turn Fairy Vandal. Gonna get Shredded Sails. Yeah, I don't know. I think I like Pteramander a bit more. But I can understand not playing Pteramander in a deck that only plays about like 16 instants and sorceries. Maybe like 16 to 18. I can count, hold on. This deck plays 12, 16. Yeah, 16. I was Post-combat Bone Splitter can only mean there's a 2-mana counterspell here without the equip. It's the biggest tell of all time. You gotta catch on these things. I do like Bone Splitter, it's very cheap. It's 1-mana equip. It just makes these like little miscreants and these other little fairies like really a lot better. So I actually do like this inclusion a lot. Bone Splitter is ready. Wrong. But yeah, that makes like now it's a 3/1 flyer. It actually like demands respect here. So Spark Spray. You could play this very like aggro control style where you actually counter the spell. And I actually like this counter spell a lot. You might get like punished with like a lightning rift here, but I actually like this play. Like, if there's like a lightning rift here, then that's gonna be really bad for the mono blue deck. Alright, they found a stinger. Ran a stinger. Double stinger. So they're looking to kind of race. And the Dragon Stingers really do kind of like make up a lot of ground. Every cycling deals 1 damage with them in play, so double duty. Gonna be a lot of damage. Alright, Miscreant. Miscreant Dio is in play. Look, it could kind of potentially chump one of these stingers, but I don't know. They're going to do a lot of damage here. Surprise, surprise, they found a cycling card here. Each cycling card represents 2 damage, thanks to the double stinger. This is the tough part about playing like blue counter magic, is that you really can't deal with this. There's nothing you really can do. Like blue's not really like privy to like damage spells outside of something like Psionic Blast, which does not exist in this format. You can really only play like unsummon effects or something like that. Your best like blue removal spells are just like flash creatures. Just the things that get in the way. I don't know if I'd block here. I'm not really sure if that's where you want to be. You definitely need to be swinging the life totals the other way. But it's just really hard when your opponent has double stinger and they don't have to do anything. I kind of like attacking with the 3/1 and holding and then equipping the other 3/1 if you don't have any other things to play. It feels like they're holding some counter magic here. Ooh, I don't. This kind of means they're going to attack with both creatures. I don't really agree with this. I don't know. I'm not really sure. I feel like they're going to attack with both creatures. I really don't know. This is like a super great idea. Alright, they're going to cycle again. The problem is that like the Dragon Stingers, they do demand some sort of like response. And the only thing you really do is bounce it, which is not like super great. And you have to bounce it like right now. Because if you wait for like a bounce on when your opponent untaps, so they can just respond by killing you with like 4 cycling cards at this point. Post-combat Seer. Would have liked that before when you had a Curiosity on play. Yeah, just simply blocking is not enough. You actually do have to just kill or remove these stingers. And you can't let them untap with it. Otherwise, you're just going to die, probably. Alright, here's a Bone Splitter. Alright, so 3 simple cycles will win the game. No, hell, like 2 cycles will win the game. Or a Zenith Flare. I can just Zenith Flare them, why not? Alright, cycling, another cycling deck onto the semifinals. So 2 cycling decks, and the zombie deck are going to be in the semifinals. Along with the winner of this match, Briar Moss Rivato. Rivato's playing blue-black mid-range against the Sultai Brew of Briar Moss. I imagine this is game 3, but I will double check. I can't because my chat's not up for that. But I imagine this is game 3. No cards left for the Demir mid-range deck. The Sultai deck is I think a big force here. Animate Dead's a Jorbai Merklurker. This is a great combo. Merklurker plus a Serpent. Gonna like gain back a ton of life. Blue Black can only top deck and find an answer. You really can't block here, so you have to attack. Brown's gonna go down to 1 life. Scary. Not sure if his deck is capable of doing any damage here. They're gonna drown and lock the Merklurker. That's a big play. That might be just game here. Unless Brian Ross can produce another Animate Dead on the Merklurker. I guess the game's like not over yet. They do have 5 swamps in play, so they definitely gain 5 life. Or they found another... Okay, they found another Animate Dead. So they get to lifelink up the Serpent and get in for another 7 and gain 7. So that's the big swing that they needed here. But yeah, also the Serpent can also gain a bunch of life. Yeah, it's going to take another top deck from the blue-black deck to kind of swing the tides again. I play the land pass. So there's like 3 mana up here. You can definitely gain more life and draw more cards with a Serpent. It's such a big deal. It's such a big finisher for blue-black decks. I think it just debuted last season, and it's been really good. The Lockmere Serpent. It's been a really just strong card overall. Alright. Bravo's not deciding to sacrifice any lands here. That's pretty interesting. Actually, I don't know why they didn't sack anything. They're leaving a bunch of mana up. They could have actually like gained some life with the Merklurker as well. But this is actually kind of game if the blue-black deck can't deal with the Serpent at all. They can't even like leave the blocker back because Island in play for the Serpent to become unblockable. They haven't sent me a message. They sent the they're saying good games here, I think. I just drew 2 lands, rough. Brian Moss gonna take that match. Gonna go to the semis with 2 cycling decks and zombies waiting for them. Someone sent me a message. Oh, they also said something as well. That match. Okay. Alright. Gonna hang out for this next match. Thanks guys for watching. If you're new to the stream, please hit that follow button. Following costs you nothing. Figure out when I go live. If you're watching this on YouTube, like this video, subscribe to the channel. That also helps as well. That helps a lot for the YouTube. Many people don't subscribe to the YouTube channels they watch. I am guilty of that too. I should change my ways as well. But you know what? How about you be the change first to subscribe to me? But yeah, I think it's like the stats like at least 80% of people don't subscribe to the YouTube channels they watch. It really does help, especially like small creators like me. Which just really help a lot. So yeah, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow the stream as well. We're just awaiting the next round here. We will follow around Briar Moss. The red-white cycling decks have split, so they're in the finals. It's guaranteed for 1 red-white cycling deck. So we already watched Diamond Dust play zombies against like a Starkman, also on the red-white cycling. But we're gonna take a look at Briar Moss on the Sultai mid-range deck. The Briar Moss brew of the season, I would say. I think every season, Briar Moss, we go way back, he always just like picks a deck of his liking and he plays it. Not necessarily a deck that like someone else has built, although he has done it before, but typically it's a deck of his brew. And this brew is no different. Starting off with the creatures like Titanoth Rex and Waker of Waves, kind of like cycling creatures that kind of replace themselves. With the Animate Dead, it's sort of like a quick sort of finish to the game, or just kind of like goes long. And otherwise, it's kind of just like a blue-black sort of mid-range deck that kind of like tries to control the board, and then ends up killing you with like a serpent, a Lochmere Serpent, or just like hard casting these creatures that they've cycled before. On the other side, red-white cycling, no stranger to the top 8 scene. 2 decks in this top 8 already. The cycling deck, pretty much no different from other cycling decks. Still has not, Swift Warkite it is, still has not lost a match yet. It's already defeated Briar Moss in round 3, but it was a close 2-1, so we'll see if the tides can change this time around. Briar Moss fetches a forest with their Evolving Wilds and plays an island here. Cycling deck cycles the force. I'm gonna talk about like why people dislike this deck, and it is true. A lot of people just don't like the cycling deck. I think it's just like it has a very like it's very simple, nuanced game plan, I would say, but it's very effective, and it attacks the player in very different angles. There's like the creature plan with like Flourishing Flocks, the Drannith combo, Stingers and Healers, and like Valiant Rescuers. You can just like kind of like go wide or go tall in a really weird way. Zenith Flare is just a 4 mana kill you spell eventually, so you always have to be on overclock for that. If you deal with those 2 things, then there's Lightning Rift that just kind of like grinds you out, you know? So there's a lot going on with this deck. And I think there's a lot of like there's a big like stigma about in a game of Magic where if your opponent draws more cards than you, they're probably going to beat you. Because they've just looked at more cards and they've seen more things. That's what the cycle deck does. It just draws more cards than you ever will. Every card cycles. So if that card's not good, you just replace it. But here you go. The Animate Dead on the Titanoth Rex is quite a big deal for game 1. Already a turn 3, 10, 11. 8 different cycling creatures in this Sultai brew. Titanoth Rex and Waker of Waves. Waker of Waves not really cycling, but it is sort of like it sort of cycles. It's actually better than cycling. It's more of like nagging thoughts on a creature. So it works, like it gets you a little bit of value, it replaces itself, like the other cycling cards from the cycling deck. But then like later on it just kinda like hangs out to get reanimated at any point. So cycling's gonna win this game. It's gonna be on the back of Zenith Flare, and Briar Moss can just hold up 2 mana and maybe have a counterspell. They're gonna Heartless Act the creature though. And they're gonna try to end this game now. So now Zenith Flare is not really lethal. They don't have like a ton of. They only have like 9 cards that cycle, 10 now in their graveyard. They can like buy a turn here with the Zenith Flare, and they're gonna go to 3. Briar Moss can't really kill them this turn, but it's gonna be a bit scary if they don't have a counterspell. There are a bit of counter magic here. Forbid, Mana Leak, Drown Lock, all good counterspells. So already a close game here. But next turn will be lethal. And it's really hard to stop this Titanoth Rex from game 1. Let's see if Briar Moss has the counterspell for anything that happens. Alright, they're going to Animate Dead another creature. They're going to Animate Dead the Imposing Mantisaur. Holding up 2 mana. Hopefully it's a Mana Leak. It's going to eliminate... Okay, they have another Flare. Let's see it. Ooh, and a Memory Lapse. Okay, I missed that counterspell. Pretty clutch Memory Lapse here, and Briar Moss is going to take this first game. This is the only time you'll probably ever see Imposing Mantisaur on the battlefield. Not gonna lie to you, I have not seen this card played very much. But it's not there to be played, it's there to be cycled. So out the board here, we'll start with Briar Moss's sideboard. I can play a bunch of different things. They've got a lot of interesting options. I think Jorbai Murklurker is pretty interesting when you have a big creature, you kind of gain a bunch of life. Kind of get out the range of Zenith Flares. Return Nature is pretty good against the Lightning Rift plan. Knight of Soulstone Trail is not bad either. It can take out, like... If you already dealt with like the first Fox and like the second Fox, they can't like grow that, so just playing a Knight is really good. You can also play Soul Guide Lantern in the Nugget Graveyard to kind of eliminate the threat of Zenith Flare. On the other side of the cycling deck, probably want to bring in something to deal with the reanimation plans of the Sultai deck, so Soul Guide Lantern is pretty decent. Light of Hope can stand a Animate Dead. But I think they're going to have a really hard time dealing with bigger creatures if they somehow play like a Serpent or something like that. So it's going to be up to them to kind of end this game quickly if you're the cycling deck. Our Two Stinger maybe gets mana leaked here. Alright, they're gonna cycle Waker of Waves. Discarding another Waker of Waves, keeping another card in their hand. I could see another like big like Anime Dead plan here. This is a good spot for it. The only card that really punches you after that point is a Light of Hope. Alright, here we go. The Waker of Waves. So this is a cycling card that doesn't really cycle, but does a little bit better. The top two cards of your library puts one in your hand and one in your graveyard. All the cycling they can do now is just cycle. All they can do is really cycle. It will like fuel the Zenith Flare plan if Briar Moss does not have a counter spell ready. No blue mana yet, though they do have a Vivid Marsh with one Vivid counter. Are they Vivid counters? Ooh, Light of Hope here for the Anime Dead, so they found what they were looking for. And that's what happens with the cycling deck. You just kind of like, this card's not good, get rid of it, find a new one. And that's the real strength of the cycling deck. Alright, island here for Briar Moss, Doom Blades, Stinger. So the board's reset. If you're the cycling player, you really wanted to just try to... I think this is a spot for Zenith Flare if you're the cycling deck. You just want to get them while they're tapped out. There it is. If Zenith Flare was a sorcery, this deck would be, like, almost unplayable, I think. I think it'd be almost unplayable, but the fact that, like, Zenith Flare is an instant makes it, like, really, really good. Alright, Jorbai Murklurker comes down with a Swamp. Murklurker, a really funny card. One, it's fun to say, but two, it gives creatures lifelink. At first, when I read this card, I thought it only gave itself lifelink. But actually, it gives other creatures lifelink. It's actually pretty funny. They're going for the Zenith Flare to the Dome. Looks like Brian wants to drown in lock, I would say. Alright, so that's two Zenith Flares down, two to go. The Murklurker is going to gain 2 life, potentially. If there was a mistake, well, in hindsight, 2020, really. Not bad to test them, I would say. Interesting main phase reactor fiction here. Gonna find 2 lands, Talisman, Titanic Rex, and Evolving Wilds. The split is Titanic Rex, Evolving Wilds in 1, lands and Talisman in the other. They looks like they took the 3, so Island Swamp Talisman. They definitely took the untapped lands, so they can have like another like Mana Leak or Drown and Lock up. Yeah, I think if you're gonna Zenith Flare, you might also do it in their upkeep. I'm not really sure. It's more of a desperation Zenith Flare if I had to say it. The Merkler didn't gain any life. They kind of just like led to have 2 mana up here, so there's probably a counterspell in Briar Moss's hand, if I had to guess. Or they're just bluffing. They can also just bluff counterspell here. Alright, the Merkler this time gets lifelink, and with 4 mana up, I think Briar Moss can just safely feel safe about the game right now. Card is cycled here. 2 cards cycled. Eventually, you have to think about actually playing some of these creatures. I mean, obviously the healer's not good at blocking, but maybe it's Vansasaur time. Alright, Stinger. We'll start edging out the game very soon. It can actually out-damage the Merklurker's life-gaining ability. I don't think he actually gained life there. I think that might have been a little bit of misplay. Kind of forgot they attacked him. I think they probably got to activate there. Maybe not. We'll see. Ramos is pretty deliberate with this play. Alright, another Zenith Flare comes down. Potentially trying to tap out Briar Moss, but a simple Mana Leak here will do. Alright, another Drown. Gonna take out that Flare. Alright, a second Stinger resolve, so 4 cycling cards will win the game here. Yeah, sometimes this kind of happens. Alright, so maybe even less cycling cards. Alright, the Serpent comes down. Interesting. So, if the cycling deck just has 2 more cycling cards here, they just win right now. Ooh, they were short. I think I go to 2 here. This is big. Now, see, because of the cycling card was a 2 mana cycler and the Valiant Rescuer, it was just kind of not enough here, so Rama's gonna be able to block. I would have tried to gain a life there with the swamp, but I'm not sure what's in their hand. So then the Merklurker and the Serpent can get in for 9 life. And the only thing that really kills them is really another Zenith Flare. That's the only thing. But that was a big time Serpent. And they were very fortunate that they didn't have a 1 mana cycler over their 2 mana cycler. This time you have to gain the life. You have to remember to activate this. Alright, Brahma's gonna gain a life first to start with the Serpent. With the life gaining ability from the Serpent. Probably has to give a lifelink at some point. I think they're going for the maximum amount of life possible. And like I said, you have to worry about the 4th Zenith Flare. That's still the one card that can definitely beat you in this spot. Another Talisman play. They're gonna tap out for a control magic. Okay, so he's just saying, you got it, you got it. But otherwise, this will be potentially game next turn. This will cycling deck have the 4th Zenith Flare. We get 2 shots at it with 1-mana cyclers here. Alright, another shot at it. Oh no. A Soul Guide Lantern comes into play, but that's a little too late. The life gaining, I think, is going to be just too much. And that's it. Yeah, Brian Moss is going to take it. 2-0. Got the revenge match over Red White Cycling. They're going to the finals. They're going to face the winner of Red White Cycling and Zombies, so potentially one more of that matchup. Alright, already in progress here. 2 of the top decks in this format, Zombies and Red White Cycling here, on the game 3. Close-ish matchup. Lightning Rift on the cycling side is a big thorn in the zombie side. The Lightning Rift is just like, it has so much control. And yeah, cycling deck gonna go into the finals. Zombie shows 2 Length of Deads. Gonna face Briar Moss with the Sultai Brew. I'll be right back. Give me just 1 minute, but we're gonna check out the finals right after the report. Briar Moss, if you can just yell them to report if they don't do it in a timely manner. Yeah, it's gonna be Red White Cycling against Briar Moss's Sultai Brew into the finals. Will the boogeyman of the format win, or will Briar Moss be the hero that we all need? Stay tuned. Just a minute. I'll be right back. Alright, we're back. Already in progress here. Briar Moss against Starkman 101. Starkman on Red White Cycling once again. So another match here. Briar Moss already has a bit of experience with it. This is the 4th time Briar Moss has faced this matchup today. Or third? I won't say 3rd time. This is the 3rd time Briar Moss has played this match today. Already bested one of the players he lost to before in the Swiss. On the other side, Red White Cycling defeated Zombies in the semifinals, which they lost to into the Swiss. So both players on a Burning Vengeance streak here, defeating the people that they lost to in the Swiss. Alright, the 3-1 Valiant Rescuer for Red White Cycling. Actually, not a bad play here. I think one thing about Brian Rouse's deck that's kind of a, I wouldn't say weakness, but like kind of a I guess a weakness. Is that they don't really deal well with like cards that go wide that well. I said that well twice. they're big of a spot removal deck. So like Drown the Lock's really good at spot removal. Control Mag is a big 1-for-1. Heartless Act, things like that. But they can't deal with cards that go wide very well. So Valiant Rescuer is like one of those things that kind of does a good job. Factor Fiction responds to the Lightning Rift here. I'm gonna try to find an answer to this Rescuer and this damn it. Titanic Rex, Waker of Waves, Control Magic, Animate Dead in the Swamp. A tricky pile, honestly. You can't really put the this is actually mind-blowingly bad for the cycling deck, actually. Because, like, no matter how you put it, like, the cycling cards just go into the graveyard, and then they get the Animate Deaded. So, like, if you put Animate Dead and all cycling cards in the graveyard, well, you just get a guy. So, I think the pile is just Animate Dead or nothing. Because, like, you can't give them Control Magic. You can't give them this, because then you just get a card out of it. This is just really bad. Like, if you give them this, they take the Animate Dead pile. Easy. Like, easy Animate Dead pile. And then they have the choice of, like, what creature they want. So, yeah, this is just, like, it just gives them a free card here. So you might as well put, like, 4-1, because, like, the Animate Dead's, like, the worst card to see there. And then that way, if you did the 4-1 Animate Dead and the other 4 cards, is that, like, they don't get extra, they don't have to replace these big creatures that they can't cast. Unless there's something in the red-white segment that they can deal with big creatures, which they can't, because it's like a carbon copy deck of every other deck that's been before it. So, there's no like pacifism effect or anything like that. Alright, they're going to start with a Waker of Waves discard. Over the Titanoth Rex, which is pretty interesting. They put another Waker in the graveyard, and they're just going to reanimate it. Maybe? Looks like he's holding off. I tapped the mana badly there, okay. Animate Dead the Waker of Waves. This is fine, I guess. Like the like I mentioned before, the Valiant Rescuers is kind of a big deal. So it pumps out a creature pretty much every turn. So just having this Waker of Waves in play to kind of like fog these tokens is pretty strong. So that is actually one of the, I guess I misspoke, this is one of the few ways that Barrios can deal with kind of swarm decks, is playing these Wakers. Alright, another Lightning Rift. Mismatched Lightning Rifts, the bane of my existence. And yeah, one thing the Valiant Rescuer actually does pretty well, and this is kind of why I kind of like Titanoth Rex, is that the Valiant Rescuer blocks. It blocks a lot. So this 0-1, while like kind of useless on offense, is really good on defense. You just chump here, and like that's why I really liked reanimating the Titanoth Rex, because you don't chump a 10-11 Trampler. Or do you? Why do I forget what cards do? I just forget. Titanoth Rex can actually put a trample counter onto the Waker of Waves, making it pretty great. Brian Moss thinking 5 leagues ahead of me. So that's why I kept the Titanoth Rex in their hand for this situation. Why am I a moron? Why do you guys watch this? So yeah, you should have done a 4-1 split. That's a definitely 4-1 split there. But Factor Fiction is a really hard card to play against, I think. But yeah, the Waker, gonna crash over there for 5. And it's another Animate Dead? Don't do it. Stop, he's already dead. Brian was showing a little mercy, maybe? You gotta put the screws. Like, if there's one thing I know about like playing against the Zags, you gotta put the screws in them. You gotta just get a lot. They don't have a lot of cards in their graveyard for Zenith Flare yet, so you kind of end this game pretty quickly. You're already at 12 life. Waker gets rid of a Lockmere Serpent. Not bad. Lockmere Serpent can actually eat the graveyard of the cycling deck. That's gonna be pretty strong. Alright, Valiant Rescuer, main phase cycle here, can produce another human soldier. And I guess deal 4 with the lightning rifts. Team's actually still pretty close. Although there is a big 6-7 trampler on the Briar Moss side. The Valiant Rescuer is actually still kind of a nuisance. Another land in play. So another rain, like ACs don't really chump well anymore. But it to do kind of like fog damage a little bit. Every little bit counts. You're not dead till you're dead. And that's undead the rift. That's true too. It is Briar Moss in the chat. Yeah, I guess the only draw here is a Murklurker. There is one Murklurker main deck in Briar Moss's deck. He's gonna need to find it right now. What other coverage do you not have, like, live reactions to what's happening here? Very few commentators. Alright, Dranolock takes out the Valiant Rescuer. They're also going to take like 2 cycling cards for the cycling deck, thanks to the lightning rifts. I can't imagine the cycling deck not having cycling cards at this point. 5 cards in hand. The only way they kind of mess this up is if we go for a Zenith Flare. Alright, there it is. The only way that could have been bad if it was a 2-mana cycler, but they're all both in the graveyard already. So cycling's gonna take his first game. The big trampler was nice. That was a fun play, but it just wasn't enough. Go to game 2. Yeah, out the board. Start with the cycling deck. I guess the best cards are like Light of Hope. We saw that in the semifinals. It can take out Animate Deads. Very versatile card, honestly. If at worst they just gain life or something like that. Also, Soulgate Lantern again to deal with the graveyard hate part of it, but that's pretty much it. They can't really bring in much else. Briar Moss has a couple different options. They can play Lost Legacy, kind of just take out a Zenith Flare, or Lightning Rift. Why not? Night of Souls Betrayal, pretty good against like future foxes if they can deal with the first initial ones. Return of Nature can take out Lightning Rifts. Yeah, more Murklurkers, maybe just kind of like go into Life Gating Brigade. As Brian Moss mentioned earlier, Life Gating is good. Alright, turn 1 Fox. Kind of a scary thing to see. For any deck. It really, like, requires a big sort of, like, response to it. Because if you let it just kind of go here, it's basically Wild Nakatl with 2 cycles. And then after that, it just becomes, like, ridiculous. Interesting. They decided not to cycle at all. Instead, going to go a bit wider with the Valiant Rescuer. It's actually not a bad plan. As I mentioned before, one of the big things that Pyromoss kind of lacks is some sort of, like, go white, like an anti-go white scenario. I guess their best card is, like, Knights of Soul's Betrayal. That was, like, the only card that could really, like, stop a go wide plan. Which is not bad against Valiant Rescuer, but if the Flourishing Fox gets way too head on board, then the Knights of Soul's Betrayal doesn't do anything against the initial Fox. Alright, Granite Stinger. On the side of Starkman. Gonna get in for 4. Psych, make that 5. Yeah, this is already a lot to deal with if you're, like, Briar Moss here. There's no sort of, like, flaying tendrils effects. Nothing like that. Yahini's expertise actually is in the board. I kind of glanced over that. It's been a long stream. Not that long, so it's been like 4 hours. Looks like Briar Moss is missing a land. I don't know. They haven't played a land yet. It looks like they might be reanimating this Titanothrex. Which would be not bad. It's not a bad spot start. But you do need to, like, wipe the board pretty soon. The Flourishing Fox is very scary. They definitely have enough creatures to kind of, like, go wide here. Get around the Titanothrex. You definitely want to be cycling on, if you're cycling the deck on your turn and then your opponent's turn. Just to get the maximum value out of this Valiant Rescuer. It'd be weird to see, like, some sort of, like, suicide attack at this point. So the cycling deck can kind of just, like, bide their time. I think Briar Moss also missed a land drop. It's going to be pretty big. They need 4 mana to use any of the Wrath effects. Another Flourishing Fox. So they're looking to kind of go around this Titanothrex, which is a pretty reasonable strategy, I would say. I would block this Fox in a hurry. This is like the easiest block in the world for this Fox. Because now that if you draw a land here, Yahini's expertise is, like, so good. It's honestly, like, so amazing at this point. Because they don't have enough cycling cards to keep the Fox around. I haven't seen an immediate land drop yet. Doesn't look good for our hero here. No, I'm not biased. So what is the plan if you don't have this 4th land? You definitely can't attack. You're at 6 life. You're probably just dead, actually. If you can't kill everything right now, you're probably just dead. Which is a bit unfortunate, now that I think about it. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Red White Cycling's gonna take it 2-0 over the Sultai Briar Moss Brew. Bit unfortunate. Really need to see a 4th land there. I think if they had a 4th land, the game would have been a lot different. Recycling again. Rears his ugly head. They showed the hand here. I'll show you too. I don't know why Briar Moss plays like this, but they definitely had the 4th. This was their hand. Expertise, control magic. They had a stacked hand, but it just was not enough. It's a bit rough. This is for their eyes. I think it's just for their eyes. Some people do this. Some people have like gamer glasses. It's like another way of playing with a gamer glass. Urine colored for flux. Yeah, I understand. Not everyone does that. I should do that too. It would really help my eyes. Alright, so we're gonna take a look at the deck list here, just to wrap up the video. Thanks guys for watching, appreciate it. We're just gonna take a quick review of every deck. Make sure they're reported. I should have just jammed the report for them. I'll just wait. Alright. Alright, so we're gonna look at the top deck here. Try to make this bigger. Oh, I see. Okay, I don't know about that. Alright, so the winner here, Red White Cycling by Starkman. Very atypical list. Tons of one-mana cyclers, even cards you can't. Even, actually, this deck actually plays all cards they can play here. Some lists don't play the max amount of like Rescuers or Lightning Rifts, but you can see them all both here. Actually, I like Rescuer a lot. And the only reason that people don't play for them is because it has Cycling 2 on it. So I think it's way better than cards like Memory Leak, which is a 1-mana cycler, but you actually can never cast it. It was never really useful to you on the front end. It's only like a cycling, I don't know, guy or whatever, or card. So I actually like playing for Rescuers, also for Lightning Rifts. I think Lightning Rift has like proven itself to be a really potent card. It's just really annoying. A lot of people don't have like main deck enchantment hate. So it's just a really like potent card in some matchups where like you've already dealt with the Flare part, you've dealt with the Flourishing Fox part, but now you just die to the Rift because it just kind of cleans up. But yeah, this is definitely a deck to beat, if not the deck to beat. I think it's just like super consistent. And all the lifts are basically the same, so no, really good. It's a really good deck. There's nothing much to say about that. Alright, the Briarmoss Sultai Brew. This started as a blue-green deck and actually evolved into this blue-black brew. I think mostly because like Drowned is a really good card. And black spells are just pretty strong. Like Heartless Axe, a really strong removal spell. But yeah, just cycling cards like Waker Waves and Titanic Rex to kind of animate that down. It's a pretty strong strategy for most decks. And the pseudo reanimation plans like gives decks some fits. And like honestly, out the board you can. I've seen Briarmoss said this to me today. You can do it a lot to them. It's like when they bring in like Soul Guide Lanterns. You can just reanimate their stuff. You kill their thing, reanimate their thing. Because it's like, Soul Guide Lantern only targets your opponent's graveyard, not your own. So, yeah, Animate Dead's really great in that aspect. But yeah, if it's not one of the big things getting reanimated, it's Lockmere Serpent kind of ending the game. Another reason to be blue-black sort of leaning here. I don't know if we actually ever activated Mystic Archaeologist, but on paper it seems pretty great. Yeah, I did misspeak about their sideboard not being able to go wide, but Heat's Expertise and like Nice Soul Trail pretty good. I don't know about playing 2 of these. Maybe like a split of like that and like Curse of Death Soul, but you know, 5 is greater than 4, so probably the reason why. Otherwise, you can discard it later to other random stuff. Mystics is a Flood Slots is Briarmoss here. You could cut it. True, you could cut it. I don't know you'd play over it, but I would actually like to see. This is random while you're here. What if you played like Wilt? Like the 2-mana cycler, the 2-mana disenchant cycler. Like it gives you a lot of different outs to different things. Yeah, main deck will, because you just cycle it at worst. At worst, you cycle it. At best, it kills something that destroys you. Yeah, but it's a flex slot. You can play all sorts of things. That's the beauty of like blue decks, so you can do all sorts of like random things. See them eventually. Got a ton of green sources for Wilt. Actually, there's like 6. Well, 10. I guess you count Evolving Wilds source. I guess Field of Ruins kind of a source of green. 9. Can I not count? 8. This is green. Ish. I don't know. Oh wait. Excuse me. You missed the cycling deck one again. Yeah, cycling beat Briar Moss in the finals here. Let me count talismans. I count talismans. Yeah, this is a pretty sweet deck. It's definitely a Briar Moss brew. Definitely, obviously a control deck and just kind of different. I do like Titanium the Rex. The more I've seen it played, the more it's great. Yeah, cycling 1. 2 second decks in the top 8. Along with zombies here. Not much to say about zombies. It's pretty much a stock list. Premier aggro deck of the format. Lords, 1 mana 2/2s. You know, good creatures on curve. What more can you ask for? I think people should play 4 Dark Salvations. I think this card's nuts. Do you think High Tide should destroy cycling? Maybe. I mean, if cycling just like starts playing like silences and stuff, it could be a lot different. But yeah, maybe. Being a white deck, you could definitely play something like Rule of Law or Silence, whatever. Yeah, I think Dark Salvation's really awesome. It's just like a 1 mana removal spell when you have like when you're ahead on board. The Nameless Inversion, what you're saying. I like Nameless. I like you don't really need like the Nameless Inversion is really cute with like Lord of the Undead, but if you only play 3 Lord of the Undeads, why are you playing any Nameless Inversions? Like, these are all good lords, honestly. These are all very good in their own ways. Like, they all do something different. Like, Cemetery Reaper continues to make creatures. Lord of the Undead's really good with Nameless Inversion or the other guys. Death Baron makes blocking, like, such a nightmare. So, and Mastery creates guys while being a lord. So, they're all really good, but Dark Salvation's just, like, every time I've seen it played, it's, like, such a blowout. It is like an incredible blowout of a card. At worst, it just makes guys for 5 mana. For 5 mana, you get 2 dudes. That's like more than enough sometimes. So it's like never dead. It's like never ever dead, and it's always great. It's like great in like every aspect of the game, except like turn 1. Turn 1 is like the worst card, but like turn like 2 to 3, it just starts like scales exponentially as the game progresses. So yeah, I really like Dark Salvation. It's like one of the main reasons to play zombies is Dark Salvation and like obviously League of the Dead and like the 16 lords you can play. Alright, another cycling deck here. I'm trying to go through this one pretty fast. I think this is more stock than other cycling lists. This one plays Memory Leak, which is a card I dislike. I actually said this on stream a lot. You can't play a spell. I don't think it's worth it. I don't think it's like worth the slot. Yes, it's a 1 mana cycler. Yes. Like, you know, you need a ton of 1 mana cyclers, but at some points you need to play some of these spells. Like, I've seen like Go for Blood make a big impact. I've lost a Footfall Crater before, personally. Like, Flourishing Fox is like a big guy, but even a bunch of blockers. Footfall Crater actually negates that completely. Memory Leak does nothing. It actually just like does nothing. So I really dislike this card in the decks, but you know. A lot of things about Magic is about like taking lists that are popular and just like regurgitating them and doing well on your own, which is totally fine. Net decking is totally a fine thing, but you know, sometimes you have to like think about these things of like, do I really want to have a spell that I can't cast? If you wanted other 1 mana cyclers you could play, make sure to just leave before I say it. You know what card would be really great? Akroma's Blessing. Akroma's Blessing is a 1 mana cycler that does something as well. It's just like a choose a color and creatures gain protection from that color. Like, you know, I think Akroma's Blessing is way better than Memory Leak as a 1 mana cycler. Yeah, it's white cycling, but you know, it's fine. I don't know. That's my rant about that. I know it's not negligible. I do agree. And there was one matchup where if they had like 4 cycling cards, he would have lost the game. And one of them was his Valiant Rescuer. We watched that match. I mean, you could see it. It's on this YouTube video, but you can go back and watch it. Yeah. So, Brian Ross Team Memory League. I am really not Team Memory. Like I said, I think it's fine, but I don't think it's fine at the same time. Should there be a video about how to beat this deck? I don't know. I don't know if there's like how to beat this deck video. What if that was a video? Maybe a video idea in the future is like how to beat every top deck in the format. Maybe. I don't like analysis videos as much. Actually, I do, but of my own stuff, not a video of like metagame analysis. Because I think the metagame's like always changing. Maybe for like leagues, but tournaments are a lot different. But yeah, this deck is, I don't know, it's still pretty proven pretty well, so. Alright, let's go to the fun decks here. Heart of Fire. The Chandra deck from Jace Arvidu here. Lots of Chandras. Chandra Nalar, Chandra Pyromancer, Chandra Fire Artisan, powered by Chandra's Regulator, kind of create this crazy late game engine here. Lots of Madness cards for the Regulator, like Fiery Temper and Avacyn's Judgment. A weird mix of like removal spells, I will say that. Burst Lightning, Chain Lightning, like in different numbers, Sweltering Suns. These are like just weird numbers, honestly. Firebolt, Incendiary Command. Chandra's, I actually like Chandra's Phoenix with the Chandras. I think that's always really strong. It probably like means that like Pyromancer is probably better than Artisan, but I understand the split here because they each do different things. I don't know. This was an interesting deck. It kind of like snuck in. I don't think it really snuck into the top 8, but lost the first round of cycling and kind of just like ran the table otherwise. But actually, it beat 3. Okay, I think this is the reason. So it beat 3 mono red decks in its way to top 8. If you look at the sideboard here, they played a bunch of blind Dragon's Claws. And this deck, I think, is really well suited against mono red already. And then with Dragon's Claw already, it's just kind of like the linchpin. So I can definitely see how they made top 8 based on the path. And I think that's a lesson sometimes in some decks. It's like, I think Magic is, I don't want to, I feel like I'm going to discredit this Chandra deck because it definitely made top 8. But sometimes it's a lot about matchups. Like, when your matchups are good, then you can run through a lot of tournaments. And this was one of those things where it lost to like a top tier deck. And it beat a bunch of like, you know, I think Mono Red's like a tier below like the top tier. But definitely like a good deck still. And it definitely like, and he definitely ran into like 3 good matchups. Although we watched a Prowess deck earlier and that was a close matchup. Yeah, playing a bunch of Dragon's Claws against a mono red field here like they had, it was really strong. And they lost a close match of the zombie deck, which was on this video, of course. Go back and watch it again. Killer Jones 7, Mono Bluetooth Revo. Mono Blue Tempo. Another fun deck. Bit of different revisions from the stock list here. They're playing Bone Splitter, which is an interesting card to make like, you know, your Miscreants, your Seers, which are not like super strong. They make them a bit better. A couple Terramanders, not too bad. You don't play a bunch of instant sorcery, so it's not as effective as like the 20 counterspell deck of past. So this card's fine. Hypnotic Sprite, kind of a pseudo counterspell slash creature. I think pretty good too. If you're looking to jam more counterspells in this deck, I think Hypnotic Sprite's a really good way to go. Main deck Miscast. As a 2-of, I think it's fine. Like, it's not super, like, it can really burn you in some spots, but I think everyone just like never plays around the first Miscast in the main deck. Sideboard very low to the ground here. Allows up plating. He's really good against like Slaughter Games stuff, or just like kind of like negate a Zenith Flare or something like that. I like Unified Will. I didn't know this card was legal, but I think this card's really good when you're ahead and to stay ahead. It's very similar to like Memory Lapse, basically. It's basically like another version of Memory Lapse, but only good with creatures. So maybe it's just gonna be Memory Lapse. I don't know, but it's definitely a really fun card to see played. See play here. Not talk to. Right, blue black mid range here. Lost the Briar Moss into the top 8 here. with 3-0, lost to a heroic deck that also made top 8. Let's see, Terramander, Nightveil Spectre, Tyrant goes in. So yeah, basically pretty sort of very mid-rangey, like I said. Terramanders, not too bad. Like I said, early game, they're just kind of like flying men. Late game, they're dragons. Pretty strong. I like Nightveil Spectre a lot. Just kind of draws 2 cards. Education Demon's always pretty strong card. And yeah, it just has like, you know, counter magic removal here, memory lapse, thought erasure, some removal, some card drawing spells. Very atypical. Low land count though. Their curve ends at 4, I guess, so land count's not really a big deal. And they have like a bunch of like cantrips and renting inventory and whatnot. And thought erasures can kind of surveil through non-land cards, kind of find them. Hostage Taker I do like. I think it's a really strong card. Blue-black has a hard time dealing with artifacts, especially. So I think Hostage Taker is a really strong sort of answer to that. Excellent Haze. What does this card do? Wow. That's actually... I like choose one cards. I like these module cards. I didn't know this card existed. Huh, I like that. This is not bad. Okay, I learned something new today. Alright, last but not least, Mono White Heroic from Yellow Van Blake. I think Heroic is like seeing a weird little mini renaissance. I think thanks to like favorite Hoplite being legal. Phalanx Leader, a Chrome Skyguard, a Danto Vanguard. So I like isn't like Hero Virose legal? 1. Yeah, it is legal. So you don't like play a bunch of like auras. Or you do play a couple of auras, but like why not play another random hero guy? It's like having like a heroic. So this is not bad as a heroic creature. But like is it better to have like the heroic subtext on here versus just having this guy that's like pretty hard to kill, I guess? I don't know how good this guy actually is in this format. Like obviously in other standard formats, like this is not standard. The cards are contextual, and that's the thing that like you have to think about when you're thinking about cards and playing Dreadful. I get this lesson a lot, and like some people like have these like ideas like I like this card's like really strong in this format, or some cards are like weaker in different formats, but they are pretty good in this format. I'm trying to think of a really good example. This is really escaping me. I don't know. Maybe like Planeswalkers. I think Planeswalkers is a good idea. Like Tail the Shield Mage. We saw that earlier in some matchups. Tail the Shield Mage is not a good card in any other constructive format, except for Pain Dreadful. Because it is a Planeswalker, it is kind of hard to deal with, and it has like some sort of like effect that is strong. That like impacts the board in some way. Obviously Tail the Shield Mage would not see a lot of play in other formats. And now if I'm wrong, please like let me know. Let me know in the comments, that's the reason that they're there. But cards are contextual, and in this format, I think Tail is pretty good. It stops like discard effects, it stops like Zenith Flares, it stops like Storm decks from brain freezing you out or brain geysering you out, stops like burn spells from killing you. It's really strong. It's actually a really strong card. So everything's contextual, and that being said, my sure Danto Vanguard is really great. Like there are like I think there are a high amount of like red removal spells, which like the Danto Vanguard is like pretty good against. But if your opponent's playing red and you're paying 4 life to like save that creature, great. So I don't know. But I guess like with the heroic decks, you kind of want like cards with like built-in sort of like sort of protection, so you don't get 2 for 1. So in that aspect, I see why Danto Vanguard is being played. Glaring Ages is actually a really funny card. Gird for Battle is pretty strong with like it just goes like nuts if you go like Hoplite, Phalanx Leader, Gird for Battle. All of a sudden you're just like making this crazy army here. I've been beaten by Launch of Leap before. Angelic Gift, kind of like a cantrip, like evasion sort of spell. One card that I don't see, which is really interesting, is Brave the Elements. I'm not sure if that's just like an oversight or they just chose not to play it because they're playing God's Willing instead. I like Brave the Elements a lot. Imagine a turn where you go like launch the fleet, Brave the Elements. They're dead. They're really dead. I don't know. White's got the best sideboard card, so there's definitely like a low cost sideboard effect. Everything silence really good. Coalition flag's actually really funny. Another really funny card of like protecting your creatures. Yeah, I don't know. I really like Brave the Elements and white aggro decks. And I don't care if they target things or not. Alright, so that's the tournament. That was fun. If you're watching YouTube video, thank you for watching. Appreciate it. If you like the video, like, follow, subscribe, all that jazz. You know, we had a good time here. If you're new to the stream, hit that follow button. If you're watching the YouTube video, go follow the stream. If you're watching the stream, go follow the YouTube. Go subscribe to the YouTube. All that good stuff. Thank you. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.